It's awesome to really challenge yourself of like, how do we serve people so well to understand the what and the why so that we can guide them, whoever's ready, to go to the how. And guess what? If people aren't ready for that next step, they still got a ton of value and they know that that offer is there waiting for them.
I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible. One that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Online Marketing Made Easy. I am excited that you're here today. Whether you're a loyal listener or tuning in for the very first time, I'm just grateful that you have made the time for this episode because I promise you it will not disappoint. Today's guest is someone I always get excited about having on the podcast. She is an absolute wealth of knowledge in all things online business. I always say she's a powerhouse in the online business world. Now, she's also the host of one of the most top-rated business podcasts, Gold Digger Podcast. So I'm sure you've heard of it and you already know who I'm talking about, my dear friend, Jenna Kutcher. Now, not only is Jenna brilliant at podcasting and she's just a brilliant businesswoman, but what makes her truly special is how down-to-earth, relatable, and transparent she is with everything that she does. She's not just about the numbers and success stories. She's about building a business and a life that feels good to her. So Jenna and I have been friends for many years. And over the last few years, we voice text almost every single day about life and business and everything in between. And I will say that who you see on her podcast and on her lives and on her website, that's who she is behind the scenes as well. And the biggest lesson I have learned from my friend is how to make sure that you create a life first and a business second. Because I think I created my business first. I know I did. And then I decided, okay, how to fit my life into that business. And that's created a lot of challenges and angst over the 15 years of building my business. But over the last few years of being really close friends with Jenna, I've learned to look through a different lens. Jenna has a really sweet life. If you follow her on Instagram, you'll see her at her lake house with her two little kids and her wonderful husband, Drew. And she shares everything about her life. Well, not everything, but she shares a lot about her life and business. And I love that it is so clear that she cares deeply about the time she spends with her loved ones and how she spends her time outside of work. And I think that makes her a better businesswoman because she cares deeply about her personal life and that oozes into her business life because she has a lot of creativity, a lot of energy to focus on it because she takes care of the most important part, her friends, her family, herself. So I just wanted to share that. That has nothing to do with this podcast episode today, but it is something that I really love about Jenna. So today's podcast episode, we are talking about affiliate marketing for your podcast. You could take these lessons and use them wherever you want in your business, but specifically, how can you monetize your podcast while also collecting invaluable data that will help you build a more successful, engaged podcast along the way? So Jenna has made millions with her own podcast by implementing very specific marketing strategies that she's going to share with you today. And I promise you, friend, anyone can do this, whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for a while. You already have opportunities in your world to turn your podcast on for monetization. I promise you. Now, you might be saying, but Amy, I don't have a podcast yet. I've been thinking about it, but I don't. Stay till the end. I'll give you a really great free resource on how to get started with your own podcast. So I hope this episode, for those of you who don't have a podcast yet, but you've thought about it, I hope it piques your interest enough to say, all right, this is the year that I'm going to get my podcast up and running, and I'll give you a free resource at the end to do so. Okay, friends, I won't make you wait any longer. Help me welcome my dear friend, Jenna Kutcher, back to the show. Well, hello, my dear friend. It's so good to see you back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have a full conversation, not just in random voice memos throughout the day. This is going to be a masterclass for you, but also for your audience. And it's something that you and I have talked about a lot off air that we are bringing to a full conversation on air today.
And it's a good one. I think we've enticed people with this title. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. What strategy did you use to make over 6 figures this last year with your podcast alone?
And you know what we should add to that is without sponsorships, because I feel like that is the one thing people think about when they think about monetizing a podcast, right? We all listen to big shows where they have tons of different ads and things like that. And you and I have both used ads on our show, but this strategy is totally separate from that. Okay, so let's dive into this.
I'm glad you made that clear because this is very different. So yeah, break it down.
Okay, so I have used my podcast in so many different ways to monetize over the years, and you have done the same as well. And I think that a lot of times when people think about monetizing, they first think about sponsorships, but there's a lot of different opportunities for people to monetize a podcast. And I stumbled upon this strategy a little over a year ago. So here's kind of the lay of the land, and then we can kind of break things down a little bit. So I recognize that so many of my guests that were coming onto my show had amazing products and had amazing resources for my audience, right? That's why they're coming on my show in the first place. And one of my guests had said to me, hey, do you want an affiliate link just to see what your audience does? And I was like, wait a minute. I had never even really thought about that. We had used my podcast to fuel different affiliate launches, but I never thought about using it for like one specific episode or to gain insight. And I started to really think about this in a twofold way, because I'm going to be doing the podcast interview regardless of if I get an affiliate link or not. About 80% of my shows do not have affiliate links. But when this guest offered, I was like, they are also offering me super valuable data to see what my audience does after they listen to the episode. And they're offering me commission. And I'd be kind of a fool to say no to that.
Right.
And so we started to play around with this idea of, what if like once a month or every other month, we had a specific episode on our show where we knew we'd get an affiliate link for the offer. The offer was aligned with what our audience wanted, and we'd put a little bit more fire behind that episode to see what would happen. And it was absolutely insane. We generated nearly $200,000 in 1 year just through this strategy, not counting big launches like you and I do for Digital Course Academy or things like that. So I'm talking about straight up podcast episode to offer. And so it was just this awesome strategy that we started really simply, and we started to create a framework around what would this look like. And this was a huge way that my podcast generated revenue in the last year.
Okay, so this is exciting. I want you to tell me first, how do you decide which business owners or which brands to feature in your affiliate campaigns with your podcast?
Okay, so I love this question. And honestly, it's pretty easy in the sense of, who are you most aligned with? Like, who do you want to partner up with and support? Whose business do you want to help grow? And also, who has an offer that your audience would be really interested in? And it is so easy for me to find people like that because I don't want to create everything, right? I am not an expert in everything. So we have teamed up with so many different experts. We teamed up with our friend Susie Moore, who teaches how to get featured. I know she's been on your show. We teamed up with Ashlyn Carter, who's an incredible copywriter who writes copy for me. We've teamed up with so many different creators who I have hired and ultimately paid a lot of money to learn from. And I have figured if I find this person super valuable, there's a really good chance that my audience is going to find them valuable. And so, to be honest, there are so many different creators out there that we want to do this strategy with, but we have just decided to really limit how we're doing it, because what I want to do is, instead of going wide with having a million different offers, I want to go deep with the right offers.
So true. So when you say offers, I know the answer to this because I watch what you do, but can you give some examples of these campaigns that you've put together so people really understand what it is that you're choosing?
Yeah,